Leave it to Thursday Night Football to craft together the most boring matchup conceivable, because this one was really hard to find motivation to sit through. The most entertainment I got from this game was how funny I thought it was that they were talking about strictly using team massage therapists for Deshaun. Like, why does that even need to be said? Anyway, it also seems like whoever I talk trash about has a great next week, because Trubisky for the first half was actually doing a good job imitating a competent quarterback. Then, you know, he morphs back into his MVP form in the second half and does that thing. And for the Browns side of things, I really want to see how good they can be with a real quarterback, because the pieces are there. Just, you know, if they only had a franchise guy, that would really just bring everything together. Cleveland got a little scare at the end. Christ, Donovan, just field the ball, but that's honestly about it. Also, the middle field logo looks stupid, Browns. The times are changing, because I present to you a game involving the New England Patriots that isn't boring. Can you believe it? All it took is Lamar Jackson to make it interesting. Lamar Jackson so far is probably the front runner for the MVP, and it's really unbelievable what he's been able to do with unproven players around him. Mac Jones also looked pretty solid for most of the game, and it's just the Patriots simply don't have any game changers on the team anymore. And with Mac Jones once again getting injured, and I mean, just read the room in your division. Nobody would blame you if you decided to just take a year off. Please don't aim for 7-10. Maybe don't completely tank, but this season isn't going to go anywhere, Bill. Do what has to be done. In a game that had an overwhelming amount of hype for obvious reasons, these very likely could be the two best teams in the AFC. Now, unfortunately for the Bills, when the Week 3 patch notes got released, they ended up getting a huge nerf, losing Micah Hyde for the entire season. So if there was a time to take advantage of the Bills' weaknesses, now would be the time. And the Dolphins got it done. It wasn't pretty at all, but they handled their business, because for the first time in maybe ever, the Bills just looked sloppy. That spike being botched at the end of the first half really came back to them in the ass, and even the entire last sequence of the game where the Bills just didn't get a field goal attempt off, and then several Bills just collapsed on the field in exhaustion. That's just not like them. Massive win for the Dolphins though, and Mike McDaniels is really looking like a great hire so far. See? This is why I get so angry at you, Colts. This is what you're capable of. This game went perfectly. I'd like to think that the game plan was to make the Chiefs play at Indy's pace and grind them down with Jonathan Taylor's muscle mass, and got a little grubby at the end, but you pulled through. Now, once again, Colts, I asked the question, where was this before? And now that we have definitive proof that your team can play this well, this is the standard everyone should hold you to from now on. Do not let us down. Again. Ever. So I'm not exactly sure what to say. I mean, it seems like this is a perfect bounce back game for the Bengals offense, but like, it's the Jets. I mean, I guess you just beat whoever's in front of you, but I'm kind of worried about the second injury this early to T. Higgins and DJ Reader as well. Luckily for the Jets, Joe Flacco seems to be developing well, so at least you got something to look forward to, Jets fans. Yep. Well, this game was the battle of disappointments, as both teams came in at 0-2, falling greatly behind expectations, and basically this game was going to come down to whatever team got in their own way less would emerge from the ashes of battle victorious. So the first half was all Titans, as the Raiders dropped multiple passes and had an array of penalties to get in their own way. Then, because the Titans also practiced the voodoo that is self-inflicted harm, the Titans did absolutely nothing for the entire second half while the Raiders started to get some things going on offense. And at the end of the game, the Raiders and Titans both had so many chances to close the game out for each other, but they just kept getting in their own way, throwing picks or dropping the balls, and either team just looked like they didn't know what they were doing. But in the end, the Titans were able to win, and in my opinion, the main reason that happened was coaching. Vrabel just looked like the better coach compared to McDaniels by a mile. So yeah, tanking time for the Raiders, I guess. Just because the Patriots played an interesting match doesn't mean someone else won't put on their mask and churn up a stinker of a game. This game was so painful to watch. Baker and Jameis are either forced to play the way they are due to their systems, or they're just washed because this was some dreadful quarterbacking. Whatever, I think you're sabotaging your tank, Carolina, but sure, I guess. Vikings, please, your roster is packed. Can you go out and show it on the field, please? And they really didn't, because things were looking real spooky early on. But the Vikings decided to break their own mold and actually came back from a deficit late. And even more impressively, they did all of this without Justin Jefferson, basically. I mean, he was there, but not really. It's like the Vikings and Lions just made a handshake deal before the game to not use DeAndre Swift if the Vikings don't use Justin Jefferson. But no, seriously, this was a huge win for the Vikings. And don't sweat it, Lions. Look at the bigger picture. Dan Campbell will lead you to the promised land. Yep, if you didn't believe in them already, you can't deny it any longer. The Eagles are an elite team and a serious Super Bowl contender. After the Bills and Chiefs both stumbled a little, the Eagles temporarily hold the crown as the best team in the NFL. This is what great NFL teams do, just dispose of bad ones. And as long as Jalen Hurts keeps playing well, this team will straight up buzzsaw everyone in their path. Best O-line, best defense, great receiving core, everything's just going well for Philly. Let's hope that keeps up, because I'm really hoping.
I want to die.
Okay, I admit that I barely watched most of the first half, and my main reasoning was why would anyone want to watch this game between the Texans and Bears? But what I didn't take into factor was that messy play quite often equals entertainment. Justin Fields and Davis Mills just kept trading plays that had you questioning, this guy can really be something. Then they proceed to throw the worst pass you've ever seen with your own two corneas. Regardless, this was a surprisingly fun game. I kind of wish the Bears missed the field goal at the end for the chaos factor, but it is what it is. Bears 2-1? What? Excuse me? What? Justin Herbert was playing through an injury and Bosa got hurt early, but I couldn't give less than a This is exactly why nobody can trust you, Chargers. Unacceptable. Let's just pretend like this game never happened and move on, Chargers. Please, it's the best for both of us. Ah yes, the battle of the senior citizens of the league, and it didn't even come close to living up to the hype. It was pretty clear that these weren't the first string, or second string, or third string receivers for the Bucs, and the patchwork O-line for the Bucs just couldn't hold up down the stretch. And man, that delay of game penalty was just brutal. How do you let that happen, Tom? But even with this close Packers win, I'm still not sold on this team, and I worry, what about this team is different than in the past years? How will they change the outcome of just disappointing in the playoffs again? Your legacy may be solidified, Aaron, but the time is ticking. It's really ticking. Now, we go straight from the battle of the Hall of Famers to, this. But hey, I'm not complaining, because this game was way more entertaining than the Packers one, and I gotta say, it is just staggering to me that Geno Smith is possibly a competent, to dare I say, good quarterback. Still, we got to see a lot of young talent, and the Falcons even let their Pro Bowl linemen get up the field a little bit. Two teams that are closer to Bryce Young than anything else, so this game really won't matter in the terms of actually, winning. Okay, so both of these teams have a lot to prove on paper. The Cardinals just came off of an arguably very fluky win, and the Rams barely avoided a total workplace disaster with the NFL's toilet bowl, so whoever won this game has a significant advantage to get into the playoffs. And as the game went on, it was pretty clear that the Rams are just better. Purely better. And as I've said before, just wait for Hopkins to come back, and then I'll judge your team, Arizona. But a solid game, and a good win for the Rams to get back on track.
Let's ride.
Look, I made the decision to sit down and watch this entire game start to finish, and anyone else that did the same as me made a grave mistake. Punts and 2-yard runs and terrible quarterback play and a ton of injuries to drag this dreadful match out as long as possible. Broncos fans, you won, but you're for surely on life support right now. Seriously, I don't know where your franchise goes from here. Your picks are gone for the foreseeable future, so this is literally the best your team is going to get. And as for the 49ers, I mean, it's the same thing. This was some of the sloppiest football I've ever seen, and injuries have seriously threatened to end your year as contenders. Russell Wilson just looks so uncomfortable out there, and Garoppolo's just not even close to being ready to be back into an NFL roster. Gross game. Gross. Well, just like the 49ers game, it seems like all the primetime games are just going to be real tough to sit through. All the way up until late in the fourth quarter, this game was just field goals and punts, until finally the two running backs in this game, who are actually stars, made it a little bit interesting, but just a little bit. And when the Giants finally had a chance to come back, Daniel Jones, who actually played pretty well this game, ended up throwing the game-losing interception. Cooper Rush is fine, but I just don't think it's enough to make noise in the playoffs, but I guess we'll figure out how you'll be in time, Dallas. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, then like and comment, because it really helps the video and the algorithm a lot, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos just like this one, then subscribe and turn on notifications. I got a lot of videos in the channel already just like this one. Anyways, until next time.